Chosen one, heaven has taken notice. The silence around your suffering has been shattered, and the sound of divine footsteps echoes across eternity. You have endured much lies whispered in secret rooms, names thrown against your character, falsehoods stitched together to darken your light. But the hour has come where God Himself stands to defend you. You are not forgotten, not overlooked, not abandoned. You are seen. You may have wondered why the storm has lasted this long, why those who twisted truth seemed to prosper while you wept in hidden corners. The answer is unfolding now. God was not absent. He was watching, measuring, and preparing His moment. Every delay was divine calculation. Every silence was strategy. Because when God moves, He does not simply correct. He restores, multiplies, and vindicates before every eye that doubted you. There are times when heaven pauses before it acts. But when it rises, nothing on earth can resist its decree. The Almighty has stretched out His arm on your behalf, and the same lips that formed lies will now tremble before truth. For this is not an ordinary season. This is divine rebalancing. The scales of justice have tipped, and they lean toward you. You have walked through the valley of misunderstanding, through nights where your name was dragged without mercy. Yet even in the shadows, your spirit did not break. Every tear that fell became testimony. Every wound became evidence in the courts of heaven. The judge of all creation has seen, and His verdict is being pronounced even now. Listen carefully. Chosen one, this moment is sacred. Do not mistake the shaking around you for destruction. It is the sound of lies collapsing. God is dismantling false narratives piece by piece. Those who conspired against you are watching their schemes disintegrate like ash in the wind. The truth they buried is rising unstoppable, undeniable, and divinely timed. You were never meant to fight this with your own hands. That's why heaven intervened. Angels have been released to clear your path. The favor that was withheld is being returned with interest. Every door that closed because of deceit is swinging open again. Not quietly, but with the sound of divine announcement. You will not need to defend yourself, because God's defense will be louder than your words could ever be. There is power in silence, and you have mastered it. You did not retaliate when others lied. You chose dignity over drama. Heaven saw that restraint. God took note of every time you wanted to speak, but chose peace. And now, your silence has become the very trumpet that calls justice into motion. The same restraint that made them think you were weak is what summoned heaven's anger on your behalf. Hear this: divine wrath is not chaos. It is precision. When God becomes angry for His chosen one, His fury is holy, targeted, and unstoppable. Those who laughed while you bled will tremble. Those who celebrated your fall will watch you ascend. This is not revenge. This is divine realignment. The law of heaven states, "Touch not my anointed." And those who ignored that law now face the consequence. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 26, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." Do you feel that stirring in your spirit right now? That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Heaven is saying, enough. The tables are turning. The lies that once defined the atmosphere are losing their grip. You are being elevated, not because of man's approval, but because of God's decision. The same mouths that cursed you will confess they were wrong. This is the hour to stand firm, not to retaliate, not to explain, but to watch. Your vindication will not come through arguments. It will come through undeniable evidence. Miracles will expose the liars. Blessings will silence the critics. Divine timing will prove that your story was never written by men's opinions, but by God's decree. Chosen one, lift your head. The season of humiliation has expired. The season of exposure has begun, not to shame you, but to reveal the truth. Stand in awe, because this is what it looks like when heaven fights for you. If your spirit bears witness to this message, take this as a prophetic sign. Comment the number 777 below as a declaration that every lie against you is falling apart and divine vindication is now in motion. Like, share, and subscribe, not for attention, but as an act of faith that says, I am aligned with heaven's justice. End of pawn. From this moment forward, you walk under the protection of divine anger, not against you, but for you. Every lie spoken against you is falling apart. The weight of false tongues has been heavy upon you. Chosen one, every whispered rumor, every distorted story, every accusation forged in jealousy, they have pressed upon your spirit like chains. But heaven has measured the words that were spoken, and the balance is shifting. Lies are light things before God. They cannot stand in the presence of truth. Those who built their power on falsehoods are standing on crumbling ground. There were moments when you questioned whether truth even mattered anymore. You saw the liars celebrated, the deceivers rewarded, the manipulators praised as heroes. You cried out in silence, asking, Lord, do you see this? Heaven did not ignore you. The delay was not denial. The delay was preparation. Because when God exposes, He does not merely reveal, He uproots. You must understand, chosen one, that lies carry spiritual weight. Every word spoken carries seed, and lies carry death. Yet God, in His justice, allows falsehoods to grow only long enough to make their collapse undeniable. The truth that has been buried under layers of deceit is pushing upward, breaking through the soil. You are witnessing the slow, divine undoing of every evil word. There is a reason you could not defend yourself the way others do. The reason is divine ownership. You are not your own defender. Heaven claims that role. You belong to the kingdom, and what belongs to God cannot be slandered without consequence. The moment they spoke your name falsely, they invited divine judgment upon themselves. They did not know that when they cursed you, they struck the apple of His eye. Every rumor that tried to destroy your reputation will now become proof of your endurance. You did not crumble. You did not retaliate. You stood in silence while the crowd shouted, lies. Heaven calls that silence holy. God saw how your heart bled quietly while others laughed loudly, and that silent suffering became incense before His throne. The season of exposure is not coming. It has already begun. The same people who lied will begin to stumble over their own words. Secrets will slip. Hidden things will surface. The false alliances that sustained their deception will dissolve under divine confusion. They will try to patch the cracks, but it will be too late. The structure of deceit is unsustainable when truth begins to shake its foundation. Chosen one, do not gloat when you see the unraveling. Do not rejoice when their plans fail. This is not a moment for pride, but for reverence. You are not witnessing revenge, you are witnessing righteousness. God's justice is not petty, it is perfect. It restores order, not chaos. It teaches the world that truth may sleep for a season, but it never does. In your quiet endurance, you have proven something rare, faith under fire. You showed the world that not every battle must be fought with the tongue. Some are fought with integrity, patience, and peace. And those battles, though unseen, win the loudest victories. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 23, verse 29. Is not my word like fire, declares the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks a rock in pieces? That fire is now moving. The same word that sustained you in the valley is the word breaking open every fortress of deceit. No wall of lies can endure under the heat of divine truth. The hammer of God's word does not miss its mark. It strikes with precision, shattering every fabricated story that stood against you. You are entering the stage of visible vindication, not because you demanded it, but because you endured long enough for heaven to declare it. You will watch as the truth unfolds, not in whispers, but in clarity. Conversations will change. Eyes will open. Even those who once doubted you will begin to speak in your defense, unaware that God Himself is turning their hearts. And when that moment arrives, the atmosphere itself will shift around you. The same places that once carried the echo of lies will now resound with truth. You won't need to explain. The evidence will speak. Every false word will crumble into dust beneath the authority of your restored name. This is the power of divine justice. It doesn't need your permission, it needs your patience. And now, that patience is bearing fruit. The lies are burning away, one by one. The smoke of deceit is clearing. The truth is shining through. So stand still. Chosen one, you are no longer a victim of falsehood. You are a vessel of divine truth. Every false tongue is falling silent, and every lying spirit is being judged by the very word that defends you. You have been silent too long. Chosen one, for too many nights. Your voice has been buried under the noise of accusations. You learned to hold your peace when others twisted your truth. You let them speak, even when their words carried poison. You chose silence because you understood something deeper than pride. You understood purpose. Heaven has been listening to that silence, and now it's turning into thunder. There comes a time when even silence becomes a weapon. God used your restraint to store power. Every insult absorbed, every humiliation endured, became divine currency, and heaven is about to spend it all in your defense. You have held your peace, but heaven has not. The angels that stood by while you were mocked are now rising in motion, carrying scrolls of judgment written in your favor. Your silence did not mean weakness, it meant discipline. You refused to speak when anger burned in you, because your spirit knew that vengeance belongs to the Lord. That self-control was not unnoticed. Heaven writes such things in eternal ink. The restraint you practiced is being rewarded with revelation. You are about to see what happens when God speaks for the silent. Do not think for a moment that God forgot the words spoken against you. Every whisper in the dark has an echo in the courts of heaven. Lies travel fast, but they cannot outrun truth. The season of exposure is not coming, it has already begun. Heaven is moving in unseen ways, reversing conversations, correcting narratives, rewriting your story before the very eyes of those who defamed you. The pain you carried in silence was a holy offering. You thought you were enduring quietly, but God was collecting each tear as evidence. When you held back words, heaven leaned closer. Your silence became a testimony that you trusted divine timing more than public approval. That is why your vindication will not come through noise, but through power. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 37, verse 6. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. On. This is the word over you now. No more shadow, no more hidden pain, no more quiet endurance without fruit. Your vindication is dawning. The sun of divine justice is rising, and it cannot be stopped. Those who conspired in darkness will cover their faces when the light exposes what they did. The truth about you will shine so brightly that it will blind the eyes of disbelief. Beloved chosen one, your voice has been restrained for a reason, so that when you finally speak, it will carry the weight of heaven. You will speak, not to defend yourself, but to glorify the one who defended you. The testimony coming from your lips will shake the very foundations of deceit. The same silence that once felt like pain will now become your power. Every person who thought you were forgotten will have to witness your rise. The tables are turning, and you are standing at the center of the divine reversal. The world will realize that silence is not absence, it is preparation. The stillness before the storm is not weakness, it is the gathering of power before release. God has been holding your moment in His hands, waiting for the right time to release it. Now the season has arrived. You are stepping into divine visibility. The very truth they tried to bury is resurrecting in front of them. No argument, no rumor, no manipulation can suppress what heaven has chosen to reveal. You will be heard, and every word you speak will carry light. Do not fear the noise that rises as truth emerges. Falsehood always screams louder before it dies. The louder the opposition, the closer the vindication. Do not respond to the noise. Watch it fade. You have spent enough energy trying to explain. Now, your only assignment is to remain aligned with heaven. God will make your name clean again, and it will happen so clearly that no one can deny His hand in it. Now pause for a moment. Chosen one, let your heart settle into what you just heard. This is not random encouragement. This is confirmation. The season of silence has done its work. The next word you speak will carry prophetic power. Type below, as a declaration of faith, I am seen. And write it not as a phrase, but as a statement of victory, because heaven saw every moment you endured in silence. And now the world will see you through the same eyes that God does. When God rises in anger, the atmosphere trembles. Creation itself knows when His patience has reached its boundary. There is no fury like the fury of a holy God defending His chosen one. The earth remembers His justice, mountains melt. Seas divide, and kingdoms crumble when He speaks. His anger is not like man's anger. It is perfect, righteous, and intentional. It does not destroy without purpose. It corrects, it restores, and it defends what has been violated. Chosen one, understand this truth. When God becomes angry on your behalf, it is not chaos that follows, but order. For too long, the unrighteous have mistaken His silence for absence. They thought His delay meant permission. They mocked His patience and assumed that heaven had forgotten your pain. But now, the Lion of Judah has risen from His throne, and His roar is shaking every false foundation that was built against you. He is not coming with a whisper this time. He is coming with thunder. The same voice that calmed the storm will now command it. His fury burns against every deceitful plan, every hidden hand that tried to destroy your name. Those who lifted themselves up by spreading lies about you are standing on borrowed time. Heaven has drawn the line, and divine consequences are marching forward. Do not be afraid of what happens next. You will hear rumors. You will see shifts, and the world around you may begin to tremble. But know this, the shaking is not meant for your destruction. It is the sound of divine rearrangement. When God moves in anger, He is not simply punishing, He is purging. Everything that was built upon lies must fall so that truth can reign. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. There are moments when divine anger looks terrifying from a distance. The winds roar, the ground shakes, and you may feel the tremor in your own heart. But within that chaos is precision. God's anger never misses its mark. It knows who plotted in secret. It knows who spoke lies while smiling to your face. It knows every false alliance, every deceptive word, every hidden motive. His fury moves with intelligence, cutting through deceit like lightning in the dark. Do not mistake His silence for softness. God's patience is not weakness, it is opportunity, an open door for repentance. But when that door closes, justice follows swiftly. Many will wonder why things are falling apart in their lives. They will blame chance, the economy, even each other. Yet you will know the truth. They touched what was sacred. They placed their hands on a child of divine purpose, and heaven took notice. It may feel surreal when you witness it. You might even weep, not from pride, but from reverence. You will see the hand of God expose deceit in ways no human could have orchestrated. It will be undeniable. The same people who once mocked you will begin to fear the very God they ignored, for He defends His chosen not quietly, but publicly, so that the world learns what it means to touch His anointed. And while the storm rages around them, peace will cover you. The same wind that tears down their lies will lift your head higher. You will walk unharmed through what destroys others, for divine anger distinguishes, it knows its target. When the Red Sea divided, it made a path for the righteous and a grave for the oppressor. That same pattern repeats in your life now. The waves that once threatened to drown you will soon bury the lies that rose against you. You have waited long for this moment, but it was worth every silent tear. God's justice is thorough. He will not simply silence your enemies, He will teach them reverence. They will understand that your life is not to be trifled with. You are not just another person on this earth. You are a vessel of divine purpose. Those who lied about you did not just offend you, they offended the one who sent you. And when God defends His own, there is no negotiation, no compromise. The matter is settled in heaven, and what is settled, there cannot be reversed on earth. The storm that terrified you yesterday is now your testimony. The same thunder that once sounded like fear will soon sound like victory. Be still, chosen one. The Almighty is moving. The lies are falling. Truth is being enthroned once again, and your name purified by fire will emerge untouchable. The unseen battle has been raging for far longer than you realized. Chosen one, you have felt the pressure in your spirit, the weariness that has no clear source. It wasn't only human voices coming against you, There were forces in the unseen realm plotting, whispering, weaving webs around your destiny. You were not fighting people, you were walking through a battlefield of spirits. What you called bad luck or constant opposition was really resistance to your anointing. The darkness knew who you were before you did. It recognized the light within you, and that light disrupted its plans. That's why it attacked your peace, your reputation, your relationships. The enemy tried to wear you down, to make you doubt the voice of God inside you. But what the enemy forgot is that you were not fighting alone. Heaven has been at war for you. The angels assigned to your name have not slept. Every time you prayed through tears, every time you whispered, "Lord, help me," reinforcements were dispatched. You didn't see them, but they surrounded you like a fortress. When others turned their backs, heaven drew closer. When people failed you, angels took their place. You thought you were standing still in weakness, but you were surrounded by an invisible army in formation. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 30, there is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. End of class. That is why you're still standing. No strategy of darkness has been able to destroy you. You've been hit, yes, but not broken. The weapons were formed, but they misfired. Every lie thrown like an arrow lost its aim because truth stood as your shield. You are walking proof that God defends what He anoints. Think of it this way. When gold is placed in the fire, it does not scream or resist, it simply endures. And when the flame dies down, the gold emerges brighter. That has been you. Every trial was fire. Every betrayal, every false word, every closed door, all heat designed not to destroy you, but to refine you. Now, your spirit shines with clarity. You are not who you were before the battle. You carry weight, wisdom, and authority that can only be born from struggle. Imagine a seed buried deep in soil. The seed feels darkness, pressure, and isolation. It cannot see the sun, yet something in its design compels it to push upward. That's been your soul. Chosen one. What you mistook for burial was actually planting. You were not forgotten underground. You were being prepared to break through. And now, the soil is splitting. New life is reaching for the light. This unseen battle was not punishment. It was proof. Proof that you were chosen for something larger than comfort. Proof that your endurance is supernatural. Proof that even in your quiet moments of despair, heaven never left you. Every sleepless night, every whispered prayer, every moment you felt invisible, all of it was recorded. All of it mattered. And now, as victory draws near, the divine wants you to understand something crucial. This story isn't just for you. Someone else will need it. Someone broken will one day stand where you stood, and your words will become their lifeline. The lessons you learned in the dark will one day shine light for others. That's why this message must travel, because truth spreads faster when it's shared in love. If what you're hearing right now touches your heart, then help it reach another weary soul. Like it. Share it. Let it move through the digital wilderness until it lands in the hands of someone who has forgotten that heaven still fights for them. When you share light, you multiply it. When you pass on encouragement, you extend God's hand to another. And if this voice, this reminder of your calling, resonates with your spirit, stay connected. Subscribe not out of habit, but out of hunger for truth that strengthens your purpose. Every word here is designed to keep your flame alive in a world trying to dim it. Remember, the unseen battle is not endless. There comes a dawn where the angels lower their swords and rest, where the child of God walks freely again. That dawn is approaching for you. You are not walking toward defeat, you are walking toward peace. The same hands that defended you in darkness will now crown you in light. So breathe. Chosen one, the war behind you has forged the warrior within you. The unseen has become your testimony, and your endurance has become heaven's glory. Prophetic winds of exposure are sweeping through the atmosphere. Chosen one, the time of concealment has ended, and heaven is calling truth to the surface. What was done in secret is being revealed. The fog that once protected deception is lifting, and clarity, bright, sharp, and undeniable, is breaking across your life. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. The whispers that once traveled like shadows are losing their power. You will begin to notice conversations shift, faces soften, and unexpected confessions appear. Those who plotted behind closed doors will find their own words turned against them. Their lies will betray them. Their false alliances will crumble under the weight of divine light. The time of exposure has arrived, and no one can halt it. This moment may feel strange at first. When truth begins to rise, it does not always come gently. It cracks through the surface like lightning, tearing through silence. It shakes systems. It brings discomfort before peace. But you, chosen one, were built for this hour. You carry a spirit that can withstand the revelation storm. Do not fear what is being uncovered. Truth is not your enemy, it is your advocate. Every false word that was spoken about you is now standing trial in the courts of heaven. The judge who presides there does not sleep, and his verdicts are final. For every rumor, there will be restoration. For every slanderous tongue, there will be divine correction. What they said to wound you will now become the soil in which your new testimony grows. You will rise from their lies, not in bitterness, but in brilliance. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 35. It is mine to avenge, I will repay. In due time their foot will slip, their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. End of tree. This is the hour of repayment. The very ones who sowed deceit will reap exposure, not because you wished it, but because heaven demands balance. Divine justice is not cruel, it is precise. It never punishes without purpose. It simply restores what has been violated. You will not have to chase explanations. You will not need to correct every lie. The truth is walking toward you like the morning sun, and no one can stop its arrival. When exposure comes, it often brings discomfort to all. Even you may feel moments of unease. You might wonder if it's too much, too late, too public. But trust this, the God who reveals is the same God who redeems. He will never expose to humiliate his chosen ones. He reveals to heal, to rebuild, to clear the air that once carried contamination. What is revealed in this season will cleanse the atmosphere around you so that new blessings can land without distortion. The prophetic winds that blow now are carrying messages of reversal. Every false perception attached to your name is being replaced by truth. Those who doubted you will feel conviction. Those who opposed you will experience confusion, and those who stood silently while lies spread will now speak on your behalf. Because the Spirit of God is stirring their conscience, you will feel these winds even in your personal life, sudden changes, unexpected conversations, divine alignments. They are not random. They are signs that heaven is rearranging everything that was twisted by deceit. You will begin to see clarity where there was confusion, favor where there was rejection, and peace where there was warfare. Do not resist this wind. Chosen one, let it move freely. Let it strip away what cannot stay. The people who fall away during this exposure season are not losses, they are lessons. You are being refined for the next chapter of your calling, and truth must lead the way. Soon, you will stand in a place of complete transparency. Nothing hidden, nothing unclear. You will breathe freely again. The tension that once lingered in your chest will lift. You will walk lighter because the lies that once weighed you down will have vanished into dust. This is what freedom looks like, not the absence of battle, but the triumph of truth. When the winds of exposure finish their work, gratitude will rise from your soul like incense. You will thank God not just for vindication, but for revelation, because now you will see who was truly for you and who never was. And that knowledge will protect you more than any defense ever could. This word is confirmation that your time of confusion is over. Clarity is coming, and with it, restoration. As a prophetic act of faith, comment the number 555 below. Let it symbolize transformation, triple grace, triple change, triple confirmation. Declare by your comment that you accept heaven's exposure, not as punishment, but as purification. The mirror of justice is turning. Chosen one, heaven has positioned it to reflect every hidden motive, every unspoken intention, every word spoken in darkness. For too long, others have looked at you through the lens of lies. But now the mirror faces them. The time has come for those who falsely accused you to see their own reflection clearly, not the version they created, but the truth they tried to conceal. When divine justice moves, it does not simply restore balance, it reveals character. Those who built reputations upon deception will watch them dissolve before their eyes. The same mouths that once crafted stories about you will stumble over their own words. Lies cannot survive in the light, and the light has arrived. What they meant for your destruction will become the stage for their awakening. Do not take pleasure in what unfolds. This is not your vengeance. It is God's alignment. His justice is not cruel, though it may appear harsh to those who never knew accountability. It is mercy in disguise, an opportunity for correction, for repentance, for truth to breathe again. For when he turns the mirror, it is not only to expose wrongdoing, but to offer redemption to the deceiver. Even as he restores the wounded, you have spent seasons wondering if they would ever feel the weight of what they did, the betrayal, the humiliation, the manipulation of your truth. Heaven's response has come. Yes, they will, but not through destruction, through revelation. God's way of humbling is not always to remove, but to reveal. When they finally see themselves clearly, that is judgment enough. The mirror of justice is not made of glass, it is made of truth. It reflects not the face, but the heart. And as it turns toward those who wronged you, it begins to strip away their masks. You will watch as appearances crumble and intentions are laid bare. The confident will become silent, the proud will grow uncertain, the loud will lose their voice. It is not humiliation, it is holy awakening. You, chosen one, are not to gloat or boast. Remember that this same mirror once faced you too. It revealed your wounds, your pride, your impatience, and though it hurt, it healed you. That same mercy that refined you is now being extended to others. What distinguishes you is not perfection, but repentance. You allowed truth to transform you. Now, the same opportunity is being given to those who opposed you, though it will not come easily. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 5. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. And this is the season where motives are exposed. You will see it in subtle ways, sudden confessions, awkward silences, relationships shifting without clear explanation. These are not coincidences, they are symptoms of revelation. Heaven is pulling back the curtain. People will begin to show who they truly are, and you will know it without needing proof. Truth has a sound, and you are learning to recognize it. Do not rush this process. Justice takes time because it is layered with mercy. Every revelation is measured not too soon, not too harsh, but perfectly timed for transformation. The same hand that turns the mirror also holds it steady. Trust that what needs to be seen will be seen. No one escapes divine reflection forever. There will be a moment quiet, perhaps when those who slandered you will remember your patience. They will replay the times you stayed silent instead of striking back. They will recognize the grace that covered your restraint. And in that recognition, something in them will break, not their body, but their pride. That breaking is the beginning of redemption. Justice is not meant to destroy your enemies. It is meant to end enmity. The goal is not for one side to fall, but for all truth to rise. When truth reigns, peace follows. You will not need to argue with them anymore. You will not need to correct anyone. The truth will stand taller than the noise. And even those who opposed you will see it. As the mirror turns, it also reflects something back to you, your growth. Look at yourself now. You are not bitter. You are not broken. You are wiser, calmer, more radiant. That is the mark of divine justice. It restores dignity even before it restores reputation. You are no longer reacting from pain. You are responding from purpose. Let this understanding settle deep within you. You do not need validation from people who once misunderstood you. Heaven's validation is enough. God's justice is perfect, and his mirror, once turned, never lies. You were never forsaken. Chosen one, even in your darkest moments. When you cried and heard no answer, heaven was nearer than your breath. The silence that felt like abandonment was not God turning away. It was him working beyond your view. While you mourned the absence, he was building the evidence. Every unanswered prayer was gathering weight, waiting for the appointed time to descend in power. You have walked through valleys that others could not survive. You carried burdens no one else could see, endured storms that stripped everything comfortable from your life. And yet, through it all, you never truly fell apart. There was always something, or rather, someone holding the fragments of your soul together. That unseen presence was proof of divine companionship. You were never walking alone. Sometimes, the evidence of God's presence is not in what we gain, but in what does not destroy us. You survived things that were meant to bury you. You kept your peace in rooms filled with hostility. You smiled when the world expected you to collapse. These quiet victories were not mere resilience, they were divine preservation. Heaven was standing between you and the full weight of the storm. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. Forsakenness is an illusion crafted by pain. The enemy loves to convince the chosen that they've been abandoned, because isolation is the easiest soil for doubt. But the truth is deeper than your feelings. Even when your faith trembled, God's faithfulness did not. Even when you walked away from prayer, His mercy followed behind you. When you felt unseen, heaven's eyes were locked upon you. You thought you were being punished, but you were being prepared. You thought God had turned His back, but He was turning the page. The wilderness you wandered through was not rejection, it was training ground. Every silence taught you discernment. Every delay built your strength. Every unanswered question refined your trust. What you mistook for distance was the discipline of destiny. If you look closely, you'll see the fingerprints of grace all over your past. The very moments you thought were empty were filled with protection. You didn't get the answer you prayed for, but you received the outcome you needed. God allowed some things to collapse, not because He had abandoned you, but because He refused to let you settle for less than your calling. Do you remember the nights when exhaustion made you question your worth? The nights you stared at the ceiling and wondered if your pain had any purpose? Those were the nights heaven leaned closer. Your tears were not wasted. They watered the ground of your future harvest. Each one became a seed. And now that season of weeping is giving birth to breakthrough. This is why you must not resent your wilderness. The wilderness is where God proves His faithfulness. It strips away distractions. It silences false voices. And it teaches you the sound of the gentle whisper. When the noise of the world dies down, the whisper becomes clear. And when you finally hear that whisper again, it tells you what you have always known. You were never forsaken. The plans that fell apart were protection in disguise. The people who left were necessary exits. The losses that broke your heart were pruning, not punishment. Everything that was removed made room for what was divine. God was never angry at your tears. He was using them to write your testimony. You will soon understand that the wilderness was not wasted time. It was preparation for public restoration. When God finally reveals what He's been working on, you will realize why He needed to hide you for a while. You were not forgotten. You were being refined out of sight so that no one could take credit for what He is about to do. And when the day of revelation comes, you won't need to explain where you've been. Your glow will say it all. People will see the peace on your face, the confidence in your voice, and they will know only God could have carried you through that kind of fire. Chosen one. The story is not over. You are standing in the chapter between pain and promise. The silence is lifting, and the whisper is calling again. Listen closely, it's saying, I never left you. Oh, you were never forsaken. You were being prepared to shine. You have been patient. Chosen one. You held your peace when the noise around you was deafening. You waited when others rushed. You chose obedience over outrage, faith over explanation. And now, The season of divine response is upon you. Heaven has seen your restraint and marked it with favor. This is the moment when what was done in silence will speak louder than every accusation combined. You must understand that silence in the presence of injustice is not weakness, it is wisdom. The world teaches retaliation, but heaven teaches revelation. You chose the higher path, and that choice has set a spiritual chain reaction in motion. God is honoring the quiet battles you fought behind closed doors. You didn't curse your enemies, you prayed for them. You didn't manipulate circumstances, you surrendered them. That kind of obedience carries weight in heaven. Every time you bit your tongue, every time you refused to defend yourself with anger, you were sowing seeds into a field of justice. The harvest from that field is ripening now. What others mistook for indifference was actually intercession. You let God take the driver's seat, and He is steering this story toward vindication. There were moments you almost broke. The pressure was unbearable. You questioned whether your patience made you invisible, but now you will see your quiet endurance has been your greatest weapon. While you waited, heaven was building the evidence that could not be refuted. The same people who dismissed your silence will soon recognize it as divine restraint. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 12, verse 19, still echo today. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, "It is mine to avenge." Engrect. This is the essence of your journey, letting God repay, not through destruction, but through demonstration, the demonstration of His faithfulness, His timing, His unmatched ability to restore what was stolen without bitterness attached. You will not merely survive the lies, you will rise because of them. Those who wronged you will not just hear the truth, they will witness it. Your transformation will be so undeniable that it will preach louder than any sermon. They will see that while they were busy trying to tear your image apart, God was busy building your anointing in secret. The difference will be so striking that even your enemies will have to admit that grace was real all along. Chosen one. Your restraint has shifted heaven's agenda in your favor. The tables are turning quietly. Strategically, God is not in a hurry, because precision is His nature. He moves like a master artist, painting justice stroke by stroke until the final picture leaves no room for doubt. Soon, the conversations about you will change. Your name will no longer be spoken with accusation, but with admiration. People who once believed lies will begin to feel conviction rise within them. They will not understand why their hearts ache with guilt, but heaven knows. Truth has a way of speaking directly to conscience. Your obedience has opened doors that rebellion never could, because you chose to hold your peace. God is giving you platforms you never asked for, because you stayed quiet in humiliation. He is amplifying your voice in vindication. You are walking into a season where the same mouth that cursed you will bless you without even realizing it. Let this truth sink deeply. You did not lose by being quiet. You won. You didn't shrink. You strengthened. You didn't retreat. You rose above. And because you trusted God to speak for you, your vindication will not look like revenge. It will look like radiant peace, unstoppable progress, and undeniable favor. There will come a day, soon, when the people who slandered you will sit in awe as your name is honored. They will realize they were fighting someone who was divinely protected. The peace that confused them will finally make sense. It was the shield of the Almighty, covering His chosen one. Your patience is not wasted. It is the seed of your power. Your silence has been heard louder in heaven than any shout on earth. And now, heaven answers back. The truth that you carried quietly is about to echo publicly. Pause here. Chosen one, take a breath and let your spirit respond. You've endured enough for this promise to matter. Now, write this declaration below, not as a comment, but as a confession of faith. God sees me. Type it. And let it serve as a prophetic act, a reminder that heaven has watched, remembered, and responded. The one who saw your patience is now preparing your reward. Every hidden act of obedience is being honored. Every silent prayer is being answered. Every wrong word spoken against you is collapsing under the weight of divine truth. Rise, chosen one, and testify. The time for hiding has ended. The season of silence has served its purpose. Now, heaven is turning the page. And your story is no longer meant to be whispered in the dark. It is meant to be told beneath the light of restoration. You are the living evidence that God's promises do not expire. You have walked through storms that should have drowned you. Yet here you stand, not gasping, but glowing. The waves that tried to swallow you only washed away what was never meant to stay. You are like the pearl formed under pressure, the diamond created in the deep. Every crushing moment has given your spirit brilliance. And now, heaven says, speak. And when God restores, He doesn't just repair, He reveals. The reason your silence had to last so long was because the testimony needed time to mature. A fruit plucked too early cannot feed anyone but now. Your story is ripe. Your truth carries nourishment for the souls of others who are where you once were, tired, doubting, misunderstood, and ready to quit. Your words have weight now, because they were forged in fire. You are not just telling a story, you are declaring the victory of survival, the melody of redemption. Let your voice rise, not in bitterness, but in beauty. Let every scar speak as proof that grace is stronger than betrayal. The Word of God declares in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. That is the essence of your calling. Your testimony is warfare. Every time you speak of how God brought you through, you defeat the enemy again. Every word of truth you release breaks chains off someone else's life. That's why the battle for your voice was so fierce. The darkness knew what would happen the moment you began to tell your story. When you speak now, your words will not only comfort others, they will break chains. Someone listening will find hope again. Someone who gave up on prayer will kneel again. Someone who believed their life was over will feel light breaking through their darkness because you dared to tell your story. That is the power of obedience. It multiplies deliverance. Think of a lighthouse, standing unshaken while storms rage around it. That is what your voice is becoming. You don't need to chase the lost, you only need to shine. Your story will guide them home. The light of your testimony will pierce the fog of despair and remind the broken that God is still faithful. And if this message has stirred something within you, a spark of recognition, a whisper of purpose, then share it. Not for numbers, not for noise, but because someone else needs what you've just received. When you share light, you multiply healing. When you pass on hope, you participate in God's redemption story. Your testimony is not entertainment, it's ministry. Every like, every share, every moment you invite someone into this truth is a seed planted in a soul you may never meet. You never know whose night might end because you decided to shine your dawn. So if this word has met you where you are, let it move through you. Subscribe to stay connected, not to a channel, but to a flow of truth that will keep your fire alive. Because even testimonies need tending. Faith, like flame, burns brightest when surrounded by others who carry light. Let this space be a gathering of those who refuse to let darkness have the final word. Your life has become a living altar, every scar a candle, every tear a prayer, every triumph a flame. And when you speak now, the world will feel the warmth of your worship. You are not testifying to impress, you are testifying to remind creation that grace still works miracles. Look back once more, but not to mourn, to marvel. Every betrayal was a bridge to purpose. Every closed door was a divine redirection. Every season of silence was heaven's rehearsal for your voice. Now, the spotlight of grace rests on you, not because you demanded it, but because you endured for it. So rise, chosen one. Step into your story without fear. Speak as one who knows that light was never meant to hide. And when you do, let your words travel beyond the limits of your reach, like seeds carried on the wind, landing in hearts that need them most. You are no longer the wounded one. You are the witness. You have not only survived, you have become the testimony that God restores, renews, and redeems. The collapse of the wicked's web has begun. Chosen one, what was once tightly woven with deceit is now unraveling thread by thread. You can almost feel it in the air that shift. That tremor as the plans that were built in secret begin to fall apart under their own corruption. For a long time, it looked as though the wicked prospered. Their lies seemed stable, their alliances strong, their influence untouchable. But divine justice does not sleep. It waits until the right moment to expose what was never built on truth. Deception can only endure where light has not entered. But light is now breaking through every hidden corner. The web that was designed to trap you is collapsing under the weight of divine truth. The ones who once pulled the strings are now entangled in their own designs. Their manipulations, once clever, are now chaotic. Their whispers, once powerful, are now empty echoes. The stage they built to humiliate you has become the very platform where their own exposure unfolds. It is not revenge, it is restoration. It is the natural result of divine order, returning to places where darkness ruled unchecked. When God intervenes, He does not just remove the wicked, He removes the systems that supported them. Every alliance built on lies, every friendship rooted in gossip, every false agreement crafted in secret is disintegrating. Heaven's light is not only shining on individuals, it's cleansing entire environments. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Micah, chapter 7, verse 8. Do not gloat over me, my enemy. Though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. Now, these words now live in you. You have risen, not because your strength was greater, but because the light never left you. You may have sat in darkness for a season, surrounded by falsehood, misunderstood and isolated. But even then, the Lord was your lamp, guiding you quietly toward this moment. The same light that sustained you in hiding is now shining publicly, breaking apart the deceit that surrounded your name. The web of the wicked is collapsing, not through your effort, but through divine exposure, one thread at a time. God is tugging, and what they thought was unbreakable is unraveling effortlessly. The plans that seemed clever now appear foolish. Their confidence is turning into confusion. Their gatherings are losing unity. Because deceit cannot thrive without darkness, and the darkness is gone. You may feel compassion rise as you watch their fall. That is natural for one who carries God's heart. Even in judgment, mercy lives in you. Do not harden your heart. Remember, God is using this unraveling not only to vindicate you, but also to give them a chance to repent. Justice and mercy always dance together. One reveals truth, and the other offers grace. It's important to recognize that this collapse is not simply about people, it's about systems. God is cleansing the very networks that allowed falsehood to flourish, the patterns, the habits, the cycles of manipulation. He is resetting your environment so that the truth can breathe again. Once this web fully collapses, you will find yourself in open space. No more hidden snares. No more spiritual fog. You will move with freedom and clarity. Do not rush the process. Let the web fall naturally. If you interfere too soon, you might catch a strand of it in your hand. Trust the precision of divine justice. What needs to end will end completely. And when it does, there will be peace. Deep, lasting peace, because truth always leaves calm in its wake. Chosen one, you have been patient while darkness prospered, and heaven has recorded your restraint. You will soon see what happens when patience meets divine timing. Every manipulation is being reversed, every illusion dismantled. The stories they spun about you will no longer hold power. The crowd that once listened will turn away, because the sound of truth will drown out the whispers of deceit. And when the dust settles, what remains will be unshakable, not built on rumors or opinions, but on the steady foundation of righteousness. You will not have to shout to be believed. The fruit of your endurance will speak louder than any explanation. The wicked's web is falling apart, not because you fought back, but because heaven decided it was time. The same God who allowed the weaving is now commanding the unraveling. The same world that once doubted you will watch in awe as lies collapse and truth stands tall. And when the final thread snaps, the air will clear, the noise will fade, and you will realize that this battle was never about destroying them, it was about freeing you. Your name is now in the mouth of heaven. Chosen one. The very name they tried to stain has become a melody in the courts above. What they whispered to destroy you, heaven now declares to restore you. The sound of your identity is being rewritten by divine hands. It is no longer associated with accusation. It is now clothed with honor, favor, and spiritual authority. For a time, your name was passed around like a rumor, distorted by jealousy, twisted by envy. You heard the echoes of their falsehoods and wondered if your reputation would ever recover. But heaven has a way of doing what no apology or explanation can accomplish. When God speaks your name, the vibration itself carries cleansing power. Every stain begins to fade. Every misinterpretation loses its hold, and the true essence of who you are begins to shine again. The ancient prophets understood this mystery, that names are not just sounds but assignments. Your name carries a calling, a mark of divine intention. That is why the enemy attacked it so fiercely. He knew that if he could damage your name, he could distort your purpose. But he underestimated one thing: the power of divine restoration. Heaven has been pronouncing your name correctly, even while the earth misused it. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 9, "Therefore God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name." That same principle now moves through your life, not that you share his name, but that you share his favor. When God restores a name, he doesn't do it halfway. He elevates it beyond human repair so that all can see his hand in it. The name that once carried the weight of falsehood now carries the fragrance of testimony. In the unseen realm, angels speak your name with reverence. They recognize the trials you have endured, the faith you have preserved, the integrity you refuse to compromise. Heaven celebrates what the earth misunderstood, and as that divine echo grows louder, even those who once rejected you will begin to feel its pull. They will sense something sacred attached to you, an invisible authority that cannot be explained, only felt. There will come a time soon when the same lips that spoke against you will speak for you, not because they suddenly changed, but because heaven rewrote the narrative. God has a way of transforming dishonor into recognition without your intervention. You won't have to argue or prove anything. The evidence will speak louder than explanation. Your restoration will not be private. It will be public enough for those who once doubted to witness divine justice firsthand. Remember this: chosen one, the same God who renamed Abram to Abraham, Sarai to Sarah, Jacob to Israel. He is in the business of renaming destinies. When he calls your name, he calls it in full truth, not in fragments. The labels others placed on you no longer apply. You are not what they said you were. You are what heaven says you are. This is why your name has weight again. Not the kind of weight that drags you down, but the kind that anchors you in divine identity. You are no longer living under the echo of accusation. You are walking under the sound of favor. When people mention you now, there will be a spiritual shift in the atmosphere, not tension, but peace, not suspicion, but reverence. You may not see it immediately, but the transformation is already in motion. Each day, God is rewriting how your name is remembered. The hearts of others are being softened, their memories reshaped, conversations are turning, perceptions are changing. You are stepping into a season where your name will open doors that were once closed, not through charm or effort, but through grace. Do not underestimate this moment. To heaven, reputation is not about popularity, it's about purpose. When your name is purified, your mission can proceed without resistance. The approval of man will never compare to the endorsement of heaven. God himself has signed your name on the scrolls of destiny, and no human voice can erase that ink. So, breathe. Chosen one, the shame is gone. The confusion is ending. The same syllables that once carried pain now carry praise. You will hear your name again and not flinch. You will see it written and not ache, because now it belongs to God's glory, not to human judgment. And if this word speaks to your spirit, take a simple step of faith. Comment the number 888 below. Let that number be a symbol of new beginnings, divine renewal, and eternal restoration. You are entering a season where heaven calls your name with joy, and the earth will soon echo that sound. Your name is safe now, held in divine hands. What was once mocked is now magnified. What was once slandered is now sanctified. Heaven has spoken, and your identity has been redeemed. When the mockers tremble, chosen one, the atmosphere itself will bear witness. Their laughter, once loud and careless, will turn to uneasy silence. The ones who mocked what they did not understand will finally recognize the hand of the Almighty upon your life. For a long time, their words cut deep, not because they were true, but because you had to endure them without defending yourself. You carried those wounds quietly, letting heaven answer for you. Now heaven is answering loudly. Mockery is the language of fear disguised as confidence. Those who mocked you were unsettled by what they sensed but could not define. They saw something different in you, a presence that made them uncomfortable. Instead of asking, they ridiculed. Instead of respecting, they rejected. But the time of ridicule has expired. The divine is shifting the atmosphere from scorn to reverence, from laughter to awe. There comes a point when God himself defends his own reputation by defending his chosen. He allows mockery for a season so that, when he finally acts, the contrast is undeniable. He lets the world speak before he moves, so that his response will silence every mouth at once. You have reached that moment. The mouths that mocked you will now stammer in confusion as the blessings of God begin to manifest before their eyes. They will ask themselves, how did this happen? They will search for explanations, for logic, for reasons, but there will be none. Because divine vindication does not follow human patterns, it follows prophetic timing. God has been building your elevation in secret, and the unveiling will be both gentle and glorious, not to humiliate, but to reveal. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 16. But I have raised you up for this very purpose, that I might show you my power, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth. And that is what your life is becoming, a living proclamation of his power. The mockers will realize that their laughter was aimed at what heaven was preparing to honor. They will see that the person they belittled was chosen to carry glory they could not comprehend. Their mockery will turn to repentance, because even those who opposed you will have to admit that God's hand was on you all along. Do not carry bitterness toward them. Let compassion rule where resentment once stood. Their mockery revealed their blindness. It was not truly against you, but against the light within you. You are called to demonstrate mercy, not to prove superiority. Your victory is not just for your peace, it is for their awakening. The same people who spoke against you may one day kneel beside you, seeking the very grace they once denied. This shift is already happening in the spirit. The tables are turning quietly. The same environment that once mocked your faith will begin to inquire about it. People will approach you, hesitant, ashamed, yet sincere, saying, "You never stopped believing, even when we doubted. How did you do it?" And in that moment, your answer will not come from pride, but from peace. You will tell them that grace was the only reason you survived the storm. That is how God turns mockery into ministry. He converts shame into testimony. The words that once wounded you become the stories that heal others. Every insult becomes a stepping stone. Every slight, a doorway to greater compassion. You will no longer be defined by what was said against you, but by the patience you showed while it was said. This is the true nature of divine vindication, not to crush the mocker, but to transform them through the undeniable display of God's favor upon you. You are living proof that his patience has purpose. You endured humiliation because heaven was preparing a revelation, a moment so radiant that no one could deny his involvement. And when that moment comes, chosen one, do not shrink. Do not hide your blessing out of guilt. You are not to apologize for favor that came through pain. You are not to downplay what God has done to make others comfortable. Let the glory show. Let it shine without shame. The same light that exposes the mocker's folly will also extend an invitation for their redemption. There will be trembling, not the trembling of terror, but the trembling of recognition when God moves. Even the proud bow down. They will remember the words they spoke, and conviction will soften their hearts. Some will come quietly to apologize. Others will simply honor you from afar, their pride too fragile to approach. In both cases, the mission is complete. Mockery has turned to reverence. Chosen one. The laughter that once echoed behind your back will soon be replaced by whispers of awe. The same rooms that dismissed you will one day speak your name with respect. The ones who said, "Nothing will come of you," will have to acknowledge that something divine has unfolded. And when you stand there calm, steady, radiant, you will know that you were never the target of their hatred. You were the vessel of their awakening. You were the mirror in which they would one day see their own need for grace. The mockers tremble now, not because you won, but because they finally see the truth. And in that truth, mercy still waits. The crown after the storm, that is what this moment represents for you. Chosen one, you have walked through winds that tore down everything familiar, through rain that blurred your direction, through thunder that seemed to shout louder than hope itself. Yet you did not disappear in the tempest. You stood, trembling perhaps, but unmoved in your faith. And now, heaven reaches out its hand with a crown forged in the very fire that once tried to consume you. Do not imagine this crown as gold or jewels. It is not made of what the world values. It is made of endurance, humility, and wisdom. It carries the shine of every tear you shed in silence, the luster of every prayer you whispered when no one saw. The storm was not sent to destroy you. It was sent to shape you into someone who could carry glory without arrogance. Many wish for crowns but flee from storms. Yet only storms reveal what kind of metal you are made of. Wind exposes roots. Rain reveals leaks. Pressure proves authenticity. You are crowned now because you remained faithful when faith was hardest. You didn't earn it through perfection, but through perseverance. Heaven's reward is not for the flawless, but for the faithful. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. Notice something divine about storms. They never return what they destroy in the same form. Trees grow differently after lightning strikes. Soil becomes richer after rain. The sky clears brighter after thunder fades. So it is with you. You will not return to what was. You will rise as something new. The storm changed your shape to fit the next level of your calling. You are not who you were before the winds began to blow. You carry depth now, an awareness that cannot be taught in comfort. There is a steadiness in your spirit that others will feel even if they cannot name it. It is the stillness that comes from knowing you've already faced the worst and survived it with your soul intact. That stillness is divine power restrained. The crown you wear is invisible to some, but undeniable to those with spiritual sight. It rests not on your head, but on your aura, your presence. People will sense it before they recognize it. You will walk into rooms and shift the energy without speaking. That is what happens when heaven crowns someone. The atmosphere responds. But remember this truth: crowns are not for boasting. They are for carrying responsibility. You are now called not just to receive light, but to reflect it. The authority you carry must serve others. The strength you gained through struggle must become shelter for those still in storms of their own. Your crown is not an ornament, it is an assignment. There will be moments when you'll feel the weight of it, the expectation, the responsibility, the call to humility. But even that weight is holy. The heavier the crown, the greater the grace that sustains it. And grace will sustain you. Because you did not place this crown upon yourself, God did. Look at your journey, every loss, every delay, every false accusation, all of it was training for rulership. God was building your endurance in the shadows, so that when He lifted you into the light, you would not be blinded by it. You learned in obscurity what others never learn in visibility, that true greatness is quiet, grounded, and grateful. Now you reign, not from a throne of pride, but from a seat of peace. The storm that once threatened to erase you has become your coronation. The rain that soaked you has washed away all pretense. The thunder that frightened you has announced your arrival. Wear your crown with grace. Chosen one, not as proof that you've won over others, but as a reminder that you overcame yourself, your fear, your doubt, your pain. Let it remind you daily that storms do not destroy the destined, they reveal them. And as you move forward, let humility be your jewel, and compassion your gold. For the crown after the storm is not just a sign of victory, it is a symbol of transformation, reclaiming the platform of truth. That is where you stand now. Chosen one, the stage that once hosted your humiliation is becoming your altar of vindication. The same soil where your name was dragged through mud will now bloom with flowers of divine evidence. Heaven is turning the scenery around you, repainting the story you thought was finished. What once echoed with lies will soon ring with truth. And this time, it will not fade. Think of an artist restoring a damaged masterpiece. For years, the surface is covered in dust and scratches, and many assume it is beyond repair. But then, a skilled hand begins to clean it carefully, stroke by stroke, revealing colors no one remembered were there. The world remembers failure longer than faithfulness. People are quick to repeat your flaws, but slow to recognize your growth. Yet God delights in rewriting public stories with private grace. He allows you to return to the same places of pain, not to relive them, but to redeem them. You will soon stand where you once fell, not as a victim, but as a voice of victory. We find in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 7, "Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance." You will inherit a double portion, and everlasting joy will be yours. That is your promise. Chosen one, a double portion of joy in the very territory that once witnessed your tears. Every accusation that once hovered over you is dissolving in the radiance of truth. God is not just restoring what was lost, He is magnifying it. Every time you were silenced, heaven was amplifying your voice in secret. Now it will echo beyond what you imagined. When truth returns to the stage, it doesn't walk in quietly. It arrives with dignity. It doesn't argue, it illuminates. You will not have to convince anyone of your integrity, your actions, your peace. Your consistency will speak. You have become a living parable, the one who endured injustice, only to rise with grace instead of bitterness. And as you rise, chosen one, use this platform wisely. Let your words carry healing, not revenge. Let your testimony build bridges, not walls. You are not here to prove a point. You are here to prove God's faithfulness. Your elevation is not entertainment. It is education for the soul. People are watching, not out of curiosity, but out of hunger for authenticity. So speak not from pride, but from purpose. Let your journey remind others that restoration is real. Tell them that being broken was never the end, only the beginning of becoming whole. When you share what God has done, you hand someone else a map out of their own storm. If this message finds your heart, let it breathe beyond your screen. Like this, not for vanity, but for visibility, so that light travels further than darkness ever could. Share it as a seed, trusting that someone who scrolls by in silence might be fighting their final battle tonight. A single message of hope can be a lifeline, and you might be the one chosen to send it. And when you subscribe, do it not for routine, but for renewal, a commitment to feed your faith regularly, to stay connected to the stream that has carried you this far. Faith must be nurtured. Hope must be refilled. Think of this space as a well in the desert every visit, another drink for your thirsty spirit. Your comment below can be your amen, your digital altar, your declaration of agreement. Write something simple, from the heart, and let it stand as a testimony that you are not who you used to be. That you, too, have reclaimed your platform. You never know who might read your words and realize they are not alone. Remember, your story is not meant to remain hidden like a buried seed. It is meant to rise like a tree that gives shade to others. The fruit of your pain will become nourishment for generations. Every person who witnesses your restoration will understand that God still writes beauty from ashes. The light is on you again, not the harsh glare of accusation, but the warm glow of redemption. You are walking back onto the stage, not to prove, but to proclaim that truth always returns. And when it does, it carry peace. The same world that once silenced you will now sit quietly to listen. And you, chosen one, will speak not to be heard, but to heal. The peace after God's anger is unlike any peace known to man. Chosen one. It does not come softly. At first it arrives after the shaking, after the fire, after the thunder has spoken. It is the stillness that remains when divine fury has finished its work. You can feel it now, that sacred quiet in your spirit. It's not emptiness, it's completion. The storm has done what it was sent to do. The air around you feels different, lighter, purified. You have entered the calm that only follows holy confrontation. When God's anger subsides, what remains is not destruction, but clarity. You begin to see things as they truly are: the people, the situations, even yourself. There's no longer confusion clouding your heart. The lies that once swirled like smoke have dissipated. For so long, you feared that God's anger meant rejection, but you have learned that His wrath is reserved for what harms His beloved. not for his beloved themselves. His discipline, though fierce, was never to crush you. It was to remove what could not stay, the attachments, illusions, and habits that would have destroyed your destiny. What felt like breaking was actually pruning. What looked like loss was protection in disguise. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5, "For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." That morning has come for you. You may not have noticed it at first because it did not arrive with fanfare or noise. It came quietly in a sigh of relief, in a new sense of balance, in the laughter that began to return to your days. That is how peace often arrives, not with drama, but with depth. It fills the spaces once occupied by fear and replaces them with stability. This peace is also a promise, a signal that heaven has settled the case. Every argument, every false accusation, every whispered lie has been silenced in the court of divine justice. You no longer need to revisit old wounds or defend your truth. The matter is closed. The judgment has been rendered in your favor. God's anger addressed the wrong. His peace seals the restoration. In this silence, you are learning to hear again, not the voices of others, but the voice of the Spirit. It speaks not in commands, but in assurance. It tells you that you are safe, that the worst is behind you, that the future is open and bright. The same hands that disciplined now embrace. The same voice that thundered now whispers comfort. Peace after divine anger feels like walking through a forest after rain. The ground is still wet, the air still heavy with scent, but everything sparkles in newness. That's your spirit right now, cleansed, tender, yet radiant. You are no longer fighting for survival. You are learning to live again. Take this time to breathe deeply. Let gratitude replace tension. The peace you carry is not just for rest, it's for rebuilding. You are meant to construct new things upon this foundation. New relationships rooted in truth. New opportunities built on integrity. New dreams formed from wisdom instead of fear. This is how peace works. It does not erase what happened, it redeems it. Every scar remains, but it no longer aches. It becomes a landmark of where grace triumphed over pain. The memories still exist, but they've lost their sting. You can look back now and see not the hurt, but the hand that held you through it. Soon, others will notice the change in you, the steadiness, the calm authority, the light in your eyes. They will sense that something sacred surrounds you, though they might not understand it. That is the aura of divine peace. It cannot be faked or forced. It is earned through endurance. You wear it like a cloak, invisible yet undeniable. Chosen one, rest in this stillness. The war that once defined you has ended. The noise that haunted you has been silenced. You are standing in the afterglow of divine completion where anger has passed. Mercy reigns, and favor begins to flow again. You have walked through fire and rain, and now, like the land after a storm, your soul is fertile again. Seeds of new joy are already sprouting. Life is beginning anew, not because you fought harder, but because God decided the battle was over. Peace has found you, not as a visitor, but as a permanent resident. Guard it, honor it, Live from it, for it is the crown that comes after divine wrath. The gentle proof that heaven's anger was always love in disguise. The chosen one, restored, that is who you are now. Not who you hoped to be. Not who others imagined you were, but who heaven always knew you would become. You have passed through every stage of divine refining, betrayal, silence, exposure, judgment, and peace. And now, what remains is not the wounded version of you, but the resurrected one, the soul purified by fire, steady in spirit, glowing with quiet power. Restoration does not happen in a moment. It unfolds like dawn. At first, there is only the faintest light on the horizon. You don't even realize the night is ending until the first color breaks through. That's how it has been for you. You thought the darkness would last forever, but light has been creeping toward you all along, slowly, gently, faithfully, until now, when the sun stands high and you can finally see what all those nights were for. Every wound has healed differently. Some became wisdom. Others became compassion. The pain that once hollowed you out has become the space where grace now lives. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding from peace. The lies that once pierced you no longer reach you, because they cannot touch what God Himself has sealed. You have become untouchable not in pride, but in purpose. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 62, verse 3, "You will be a crown of splendor in the Lord's hand, a royal diadem in the hand of your God." Now, the chosen one restored is not merely someone who has survived. You are one who understands the language of brokenness and speaks healing fluently. When you look into the eyes of the weary, they will recognize that you've walked their road. You will not have to announce your transformation. Your peace will do it for you. The atmosphere around you will testify that something divine has been completed within you. Your restoration is not loud. It does not demand to be seen. It moves like wind, gentle, invisible, undeniable. It changes the temperature of every room you enter. People will feel something shift when you arrive and not know why. That is the evidence of grace fulfilled, the quiet power of a spirit that has seen both judgment and mercy and survived them both. There will still be days when you remember the old pain. That is natural. But now, those memories no longer wound, they teach. You can revisit the past without reliving it. The bitterness is gone. The ache has become understanding. You can finally look at what hurt you and say, "Even that served me." Now, what was once your greatest shame has become your greatest source of empathy. You no longer despise the journey because it revealed who you truly are. You no longer hide your scars because they prove that love carried you through the fire. You no longer ask, "Why me?" because you finally see it had to be you. Only someone with your endurance, your heart, your calling could turn that level of pain into this magnitude of light. Now, the future does not intimidate you. You walk toward it without flinching, because you've seen the worst and watched heaven redeem it. You are not naive, you are wise. You are not soft, you are strong, in a way that still feels gentle. That is what restoration does. It gives you power without pride, strength without cruelty, authority without arrogance. You are the embodiment of completion, the arc of divine justice fulfilled. The lies have dissolved. The truth stands tall. And the name once dragged through dirt now glows with grace. The heavens have already declared it. It is finished. The war is over, and peace has claimed its throne. Now, you simply live. You build. You breathe. You create from the overflow of healing. You plant where others once uprooted. You forgive where others might have sought revenge. You stand as evidence that God can take the ashes of ruin and mold them into royalty. You will still have challenges. Yes, but they will not undo you. You have been tempered in divine fire. You do not crack under pressure anymore. The same God who restored you will sustain you. You are not returning to what was. You are moving toward what was always meant to be. Chosen one. Lift your head and see yourself as heaven sees you, radiant, whole, crowned not for glory, but for purpose. The season of survival is over. You are restored to reign in peace. You emerge now. Chosen one, radiant and unshakable. Every lie has fallen apart. Every wound has turned into wisdom. Every loss has become the soil of your strength. You stand not as a survivor, but as a sign, living proof that heaven restores what hell tries to ruin. The storm no longer defines you, the peace after it does. The crown on your head is invisible to some, but heaven sees it gleam. The fire you endured has purified your voice, your vision, and your purpose. You no longer chase validation, because truth walks with you. You no longer fear rejection, because favor surrounds you. You no longer fight to be seen, you simply shine. And darkness recognizes defeat. This is your new chapter, walking in clarity, speaking with compassion, living with purpose. Every scar glows now as a story of redemption. Every hardship echoes as testimony. You are God's poetry written through pain, every verse refined by grace. If this journey has stirred something in your heart, let it continue beyond this moment. Like this message, so that others can find it when they need light the most. Share it not as content, but as a seed of encouragement for someone standing where you once stood. Comment something from your spirit, a line of gratitude, a word of agreement, a declaration of renewal. Your voice might be the one that awakens another. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, not to chase words, but to stay connected to a stream of truth that reminds you who you are, chosen, seen, and unstoppable. This isn't the end. Beloved, this is the unveiling. Walk forward, crowned with calm, cloaked in peace, and glowing with the quiet fire of one who has been fully restored.